September 7th, it was Labor Day, and while most were enjoying a day off, a tense situation was unfolding in West Toledo. A 32-year-old Army veteran found himself in a standoff with police. It lasted more than 2 hours, and we were out there covering it that day, along with several other media outlets. But there is more to the story, just how that veteran ended up in that situation and what happened after the standoff ended. It's a story you'll see only on 11.
I walk down my hallway and I have a window down from my hallway, and I see a cop go like this from a tree. And I go, what's going on? Why is there a cop out front?
Donald McGranahan II, or DJ as his friends call him, describes the first sign something was off Labor Day morning.
And I go and I peek through my window, and there's an army of police officers in the street. And they're yelling at me over a microphone.
DJ says he called his best friend, his mom and grandma, all who came to the scene.
All the meanwhile, I'm in my house pacing like a caged lion, going from window to window. I see cops coming in my driveway. They came in my backyard, completely surrounded. My first reaction, defend yourself.
To better understand how DJ reacted, you have to understand where DJ has been.
I served for 4 years, 2 tours in Iraq.
This Army veteran and Purple Heart recipient was first diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder during his second tour in Iraq.
Having that constant fight or flight every single day for a year, it rewires your brain, and unfortunately, there's no way to fix that. I am who I am, and I'm going to be who I am for the rest of my life.
DJ says in the last 2 months, he's given a lot of thought to what happened Labor Day.
I reacted the way that I did because that's the way I was trained. That was ingrained in me every day for 4.5 years of my life, to survive at all costs.
I also recently sat down with Toledo Police Chief George Krall to talk about how the events unfolded on that hot September day. Police say this all started when a call first came into their Central District desk and then into the 911 call center, where the caller claimed he shot his girlfriend. The body was on the porch of DJ's Gage Street home, and kids were tied up in the bathroom.
Obviously, that's an incredibly urgent call.
We have a very large Toledo police presence.
Out on the scene, DJ wasn't coming out of the house to surrender. His family was telling police he was the victim. He didn't make that call.
We have to respond the way we're trained based on what we believe.
Police even contacted his ex-girlfriend to make sure she was okay.
After they went to my ex's house and found out that she was alive and well, no children were involved, I believe they should have backed down.
Eventually, after over 2 hours, DJ surrendered, coming out of his house wearing body armor.
I had body armor on because all it takes is one of you guys with a happy trigger finger, and that's the end of my life, to a man who has done nothing.
He was taken into custody. He was put in the back of a wagon, and at that time, the SWAT team went in and cleared the house to make sure that there were no, obviously, thank God, there were no injured people in there.
DJ sent us pictures of the damage he says came from SWAT after he was in custody. DJ says they ripped an unlocked door off the hinges and gun safes off the wall, leaving large holes and damaging the safes to pry them open. We shared the pictures with the chief.
Once you're in the house and he's in custody and you don't see the people, I mean, is it necessary to rip stuff off the wall?
Well, remember why we were there. We were there because of a call of a person who may have, shot someone.
Chief Krall says DJ was in an extremely agitated state that day, so they took the guns for safekeeping.
There's no way, based on why we were there and Mr. McGranahan's emotional state, we couldn't leave firearms there.
Did you guys ask for the key to the safe, or was it just?
I don't know.
They could have diffused the situation a lot more, but they chose not to.
Those claims DJ didn't make the call, well, they turned out to be true. There is still an open investigation, but police admit it appears someone else made the call that day, pretending to be him. It's called swatting, an attempt to bring SWAT police units to a given location, and it's happening a lot all over the country.
But the swatting issue is going to be a challenge for law enforcement. But again, to keep Toledo safe, to keep the residents safe, to keep our officers safe, we have to respond the way we believe that the threat is.
The chief tells us they turned the case over to the FBI, and it's believed the same person who made this call could be responsible for several other similar fake 911 calls.
That's what makes me mad at the person who did this, because this gentleman went through a whole lot of anguish unnecessarily, as well as, you know, a good portion of the Toledo Police Department who came out that afternoon.
DJ is still facing charges tied to that day.
But with all the evidence that was present at the time that they negated to look at, they should have, and the situation would have not gone as far as it did.
That is always something that we're looking at, getting better at, and with more and more vets coming back, I mean, I'm a veteran myself, the last thing we want to do is traumatize someone who's suffering, who had served our country.
Like you heard the chief say, swatting is a growing issue, and oftentimes these criminals are targeting complete strangers, finding their victims through things like online video games and social media. Now, Chief Krall says if this happens to you, the most important thing you can do is comply with police, and if it is a swatting issue or mistaken identity, it will be sorted out. Just comply when they show up.
So that was the big mistake from their point of view. DJ obviously had done nothing. Somebody else,
right,
whoever that is dirty pool, making a phone call like that, this swatting stuff.
Right, and this is happening all over the country. It happened at UT earlier this summer. They responded to a swatting call there. So this is not the last time we're going to be hearing about this, and you can't even fathom what would motivate somebody to do that.
If he comes out with his hands up there saying, end of discussion, but boy,
right,
put yourself where
he's been
wow,
and looking out your window,
great
seeing your
story,
house surrounded. Thanks.
Great story. Keep us posted. I know there's still
and that investigation is ongoing. We will let you know too as far as what happens. Hopefully they can catch the guy who made that call.
Yeah. Still ahead.